It's Monday Night Sports Talk on the AirNetwork.net. Welcome into a fantastic Monday night. And the reason it's fantastic is obviously after that amazing Super Bowl. What can I tell you? My friends are joining me, by the way, from around Pennsylvania tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about Super Bowl 51. First of all, if you're listening on 94.1 in Huntington, Pennsylvania, I want to introduce you to the guys. They've been with me for a few years, even when we were in Johnstown. I'm Greg Banks in the studio with Dave Shannon in Altoona and Jimmy Ty in Hamburg. And Dave, I want to get this straight. Dave is a veteran broadcaster out of the Altoona area. He currently does baseball with the Jamestown Jammers, one of the teams he's worked with. He's done indoor football. Dave, you've done it all, even with St. Francis University, doing PA and broadcasting as well, correct?
That pretty well covers the whole gamut. Some spring football, too.
There you go.
With the Erie Express football team and the Southern Tier Express hockey team.
There you go. So Dave is a veteran of sports, and I get together every week with my friends who are sort of the sports-minded kind. Jimmy Ty, by the way, and I have known each other over 20 years, where Dave and I are probably friends for over 30 or 40. But Jimmy, a former videographer for local television stations. He and I worked at cable when we did the Game of the Week many, many years ago in the Johnstown region. Jimmy moved down to Miami, did some work there. An Emmy Award winner who is currently, and I'll just put it this way, Jimmy, you're a state employee nowadays. You're being paid and you're feeding at the trough of the state. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is definitely correct. I am a state employee,
Right.
former Emmy Award-winning videographer. So, yep.
All
You
right.
got it all covered there, Greg.
And also a producer, by the way, for the Game of the Week, which many of you might have seen on PCN, of course, Atlantic Broadband. Chat States couldn't join us tonight. I thought, David, once that he would be able to join us. I got a note from him, but apparently not tonight. But let's talk about Super Bowl 51, guys, if you will, here on the Air Network and also 94.1 in Huntington. First off, final score, Patriots 34-28. Jimmy, you called me at halftime. You were pretty sure, because you made the prediction that the Falcons would win the Super Bowl, that they had it in the bag. You were leaving a Super Bowl party, watching the television. You were going to miss Gaga, but you were going to catch the third quarter, maybe the end of the game. You had to have been surprised, dude.
Yeah, like I had my daughter, and we watched the game down here at my house for a little bit, and I took her back up to her mom's house. And whenever I called you up, I'm like, we were talking, you're telling me about Lady Gaga and this and that. And I was talking to my girlfriend, Becky, and she even told me, oh, yeah, the Falcons, they're really doing good. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm going to win my bet at work. And I was so positive. I get home, and I looked at the score. I'm like, what the heck's going on here?
And all hell broke loose.
I text Becky up, and I'm like, What's going on? It doesn't look good for the Falcons.
Well, when I talked to you, it was 28-3, I believe, Dave.
Yeah.
Dave, it was like sort of, Dave, the tale of two halves. I mean, without getting into a lot of stuff, because, again, it was a lot of water cooler talk today at work, wherever people might be. This thing was one of the most amazing games I ever saw. Falcons leading 21-3 at the half, I believe it was, or maybe 28-3.
21-3.
Okay, added 7 more in the third. The Pats scored 6 in the third, and then 19 in the fourth to force that overtime. Man, what happened? Did the Falcons lose the game or the Patriots win the game? I mean, come on, man.
The Falcons lost the game, result of poor coaching and poor play selection, to be quite honest. And we can get into the nitty-gritty details of what went on there. But when you open the door for somebody like Tom Brady, and you know what this guy's history is. Mm-hmm. And I'm blaming the loss by the Falcons on James Franklin, because he's the guy that got all of this started by getting big leads and playing not to lose.
Come on,
I'm sorry,
come
Coach
on.
Franklin. It's all your fault. You got it started in the Rose Bowl.
We say that in jest, of course, because, James has no connection to the Atlanta Falcons. But Kyle Shanahan does. He was the offensive coordinator, Dave, and maybe you saw and Jimmy saw.
He was offensive.
Yeah, he was. Maybe you guys saw the same thing I saw clearly. They, needed to work the clock, man. Just keep it on the ground, work the clock, get it down there, get a field goal, and now you lead by 11 points, and it just didn't happen. Jimmy, you can talk about that a little bit, and then Dave.
Oh, wow. Like, the one thing that I noticed about the game whenever I did see it was in the first half, the Falcons pressuring Brady, and he couldn't do a darn thing.
Right.
Somewhere in the fourth quarter, the Falcons defense got exhausted because if you look at the time of possessions, the Falcons were on the field for like 30-some minutes.
Yeah.
Where the Patriots offense was on for 30-some minutes, where the Falcons offense was on only for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So the defense by the fourth quarter was getting tired. They couldn't pressure Brady, and we all know what happens whenever Brady doesn't get pressure. He'll just pick you apart.
Yeah, I am surprised.
Basically, that's what happened. And then the Patriots defense rose up to the challenge, and, there's history.
Hey, well, Dave, here again, there were 3 key players, I believe, last night. Actually, 4 for New England Patriots, in that second half especially. Amendola, Edelman. We had James White, and you had the kid from Penn State, Hogan, that played lacrosse, and then I believe wanted to play 1 year at Monmouth College in football. Those 4 guys, really were pivotal in that game while Gronkowski sat on the sideline last night. Gronk did. But you know what? Tell me, Tom Brady, man, is he the greatest ever? This morning they're comparing this guy as if he has no comparison whatsoever. And I guess we'll get to that eventually. But, Joe Montana had some great games in the Super Bowl. Here you got Brady. He's 39 years old. He said he didn't worry about it. He didn't stress out at halftime. He came back, and he did his job. That's just the sign of a veteran, man. Seriously.
He really does have no equal. Now statistically, now with the number of Super Bowl wins, you name it. And we talked about this last week. We did that Mount Rushmore thing, and if there's an athlete that belongs on it, he's one of them.
Okay.
And the bottom line is, and I addressed this last week. I think a lot of the negative thoughts that people have toward the Patriots and Brady in particular are generated by the media, because the media are constantly yammering about, we know he's he's probably the best quarterback that played the game. And I can tell you, Greg, I don't see anybody, and he and Belichick together, I don't see anybody in the future that is going to be able to duplicate what the New England Patriots have done, period.
Yeah.
Collective bargaining is not going to allow that kind of thing to happen in the future. This is history. We're fortunate enough to be able to watch it at this particular point in time. Now, let's get back to the game in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And the game hinges on one series, and you talk about horrendous play calling.
Right.
You get an ungodly reception by Julio Jones along the sideline. You're deep in Patriots territory. What in the hell are you throwing the football for?
Yeah.
Clock's running down. You completed that pass with around 4-something left to go on the clock. What you start to do at that point is hand the ball off. They walked away from their running game early. Well, not early, but, probably somewhere there in the third quarter,
right.
They walked away from their running game because the Patriots stopped a couple of rushes. Well, guess what?
Mm-hmm.
They're not that bad of a defense. They're going to stop a couple of rushes.
Right.
You should never abandon your rushing game. They decide to abandon the rushing game, and they're throwing passes in a position where they didn't have to be, because all you have to do at that point, even if you just run 3 and you don't gain a damn yard,
mm-hmm.
well, guess what? You're well within your field goal kicker's range.
Yeah.
And you're running the clock down by running the football. So you go ahead, and you and I talked about this before the show. At that point, you're up by 2 scores.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's give Brady and the Patriots credit. Let's say they go down the field and they put up 8. Now they're only behind 3. But there's very little time left on the clock. And based on Gostkowski's ability to do an onside kick earlier in the game,
right.
I'm not really worried that they're going to do an onside kick, get it back, go down the field, and kick a field goal before that clock runs out.
So, Jimmy, what Dave is alluding to, Jimmy, is then clock management. Clock management was really key for the Falcons. And the fact that Kyle Shanahan was the OC with that team yesterday and now will be the new head coach of the 49ers Is that something that you thought was very crucial in the game? The fact that they didn't hold on to the ball, they could have given it to Freeman, and he could have run with the ball several times to get down there to get that field goal to put that thing out of reach.
I know whenever I was watching the game, they kept on giving it to Freeman, and he was running through like the A gap or B gap, whatever gap that is. And he was collecting, 10, 12, 15 yards at a clip.
Even if he got 5, he'd have been cool.
He was collecting it at a clip.
Yeah.
Why run the – I mean, like Dave said, you have that pass to Julio, great catch. Like Dave said, run the ball. Good luck, Kyle Shanahan.
Shanahan.
In San Francisco. Yeah,
right.
I couldn't think of his name yet. Good luck to Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco.
Right.
But the one thing I'm going to say, watching the game, everybody in the sports world knows that Tom Brady grew up idolizing Joe Montana. Am I right?
Yeah, he did. You're right.
Yes,
guys, remember the Super Bowl against the 49ers and the Bengals?
Yep. I remember that.
The Bengals were up. Montana, cool as Joe, walks out on the field, looks over and says, hey, there's John Candy. Goes ahead, game-winning drive.
Yeah.
That's what I thought of whenever the Patriots were down. They had 91 yards to go. It's a Joe Montana moment.
Well,
right there.
Here again,
yeah,
it was a very emotional game. I mean, as I watched it, and of course, I couldn't turn. It's sort of like Dave. I saw this wreck coming or this train coming, and I couldn't get off the track fast enough because somewhere in the fourth quarter, I said, Brady's coming back. I mean, he's going to make this happen. There was no question he was committed. It was sort of, he was destined. And here he is, 39 years old. This guy could be playing till he's 45. Let me ask you guys real quick, and then we'll get back to yesterday's game. Would you consider him one of the greatest, obviously one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time? Would you now put him probably number 1, and who would be number 2?
I don't know. You put him in number. Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
No. Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say,
nobody wants to commit here.
Montana's name's been tossed around here. I would put Brady at number 1.
Yeah.
Just because of his accomplishments.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not just a meaningless stat.
No.
He's won 5 frickin' Super Bowls.
You think
Nobody's
a lot of
going to do that again.
Yeah, do you think a lot of the hate that the guy is getting?
Montana, what?
I was going to say, do you think a lot of the hate he's getting is everybody thinks he's egotistical and he's got a lovely wife?
No.
But the reality is the guy was I think he came in, 7th round, Jimmy, from in the draft.
199th pick.
And he's still pissed about that. Years later, he says, I've got something to prove every game he goes out there.
Yeah, and he does. He proves it every time he does go out there. And he carries himself. Look, there are 2 ways that you can always look at this. One is a player carries himself with confidence.
Right.
The other one is the player is cocky. Now, those 2 can very easily get confused.
Yes, they can.
And because of the fact that I kept getting fed this garbage by the media and fawning over Brady, there was just a little bit of a natural hatred that I started to build for Brady, and I've forgotten that now. It's not his fault. It's the media's fault, and I can appreciate what the guy is, who is the best quarterback that has played the game to this point.
It's Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net, and tonight also testing our new signal, 94.1 FM in Huntington. You can tune in on the FM dial if you are tooling around town or perhaps you have a radio in your house. Check us out, but more importantly, we've got an audience online, worldwide, every week here at the airnetwork.net or on TuneIn Radio, by the way, at the Air Network. Tonight, Dave Shannon from the Altoona area, Jimmy Ty from Hamburg, PA, which is down near Philadelphia, and Chad State's not with us tonight, but we have a potpourri of guys coming on and off of the show over the years, and it's always been kind of special, guys, on that Super Bowl night, the night after when we've done these shows. We talked about the possibilities of who's the greatest, who should have been the MVP. Last year, we watched that real train wreck of the Carolina Panthers, and they never came back. This year, they just couldn't rebound. Jimmy, I'll ask you first, and then I'll ask Dave. Do you see the Falcons being able to ever recover from this and be back there in the hunt next year? Jimmy?
No. You're going to have a team like the Dallas Cowboys,
Mm-hmm.
who's going to represent the NFC, guaranteed. And I know the season just over, and I just said Dallas Cowboys and all this and that. But no, this game wasn't an emotional game for the Falcons because they were up by 25. Am I right?
Yeah, 25.
Points?
Yeah, they were up by 25.
Yes.
How do you lose that?
They lost the biggest game of their lives?
Yeah.
No way. No way. They're not. It's going to be hard.
Well, Dave,
it's going to be hard for them to recover.
Yeah, Dave, Jimmy alluded to the fact, again, Dallas Cowboys are mentioned in the NFC next year. I don't know, maybe Matty Ice can put it back together, and hopefully some of those guys are still in Atlanta. But right now, the people in Atlanta are crying. Something calls me to Sid Bream that made them cry years ago in Atlanta.
Sid Bream made us cry.
Oh, he made us cry. Okay, but the reality is, they haven't had many happy days down in Atlanta, and this was going to be the one, especially somewhere around 9:30 last night. We thought, I think for all intents and purposes, America thought, that Atlanta might just bring back, well, Ted Turner's not dead yet, is he? They might bring back the spirit of Ted Turner. You know what I'm saying? That championship kind of,
Let me say this.
Go ahead, Dave.
Jimmy.
There's a thing on ESPN.
Okay.
Who's the greatest football player of all time? I just saw this before we were going up on air.
I say Gale Sayers, but you say?
No. And it was a poll conducted by all of America. And you had Jerry Rice on there, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Dick Butkus, Reggie White, Johnny Unitas, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders. Tom Brady got 53% of the votes.
I never heard.
The closest guy to him.
Yeah.
Okay. Was Barry Sanders with only 20% of the votes.
All right. That's because the millennials sort of probably outnumber the boomers, Dave. You know what I'm saying? These kids, these guys don't remember Jim Brown. They don't remember Gale Sayers.
No.
So.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are lost to them because they just never had the opportunity to see them play or grow up around that.
Exactly.
I do want to throw one thing in here, Greg.
Yeah.
And I think the Falcons will be back. Here's why. They're moving into a new facility next year.
Okay.
They have their new dome, so they're not going to play in the Georgia Dome anymore. And that, I think, is scheduled to be demolished because they're side by side.
Right.
And there's no need for two gigantic domes in downtown Atlanta. So the dome is going to get wiped out. Here's another thing that I complained about the coaching there on that offensive series at the end of the game when they could have won the game, or at least, probably iced it at that point by kicking a field goal, but they didn't. Right. Here's another dramatic, and this is part of what Jimmy had to say too, that the defense was spending so much time on the field that they changed their defense. They changed their coverage. They went into the Steelers zone, and they looked just like the Steelers.
Well, Dave, they were playing man-to-man early in the game, the first half, and then the second half came out in zone.
Yeah, but remember, and what Jimmy pointed out, the time of possession was so heavily in favor of the New England Patriots. Man-to-man coverage really takes it out of you. I've not played football, but I've watched those guys, and they're going full bore, and a lot of backward running, a lot of running to just keep up with a guy. And I think they got to a point where, you know what, we're all tired. Let's drop into a zone. And that way we can keep them from beating us on the deep pass. Well, guess what? You have now just played into the hands of the New England Patriots offense.
Right.
They are designed to be a dink and dunk, 15 yards at a time
over
team
the middle
down the field.
Yeah.
You got Edelman and Amendola,
right?
And that's what it is. And I'll tell you what, I'll take my 10, 15-yard passes the whole way down the field, and you know what? I'll be in your end zone in 2.5 minutes.
Hey, Jimmy, did you notice?
That's how longer that's going to take me.
Yeah, did you notice that Blunt last night was sort of like he was a caricature of the guy for the Steelers, not Williams, but our guy, Le'Veon Bell. That he was actually stopping and looking for his holes and moving in that direction. I think, matter of fact, he even mentioned on social media a couple weeks ago that he was going to try that because he had watched Le'Veon Bell many times and thought that was fashionable and that it would work for him. And it was kind of effective because it kind of kept the defense off guard when he did run the ball. But I have to agree with Dave again. There was totally different change in their defense in the second half. They went zone instead of man-to-man because obviously they were tired. And I think that was one factor in killing the Falcons last night.
And the other thing that I think that killed the Falcons is you have like I was telling you last night on the phone, Greg, you have a 30-minute halftime.
Oh, hell, that was almost like an hour.
You have an hour halftime, okay? And you have a coach like Bill Belichick in that locker room knowing they're down 21-3.
Mm-hmm.
You know he's going to be scheming something up.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Well, although
compared to Dan Quinn, who's never been there before, second year on the job, you have to give all kudos to the intelligence of Bill Belichick because he took that halftime and he figured out this is how we're going to beat the Atlanta Falcons.
And you know what? He didn't say very much during halftime. They interviewed several of the players after the game and said, well, what was said at halftime? Dave, and they articulated that not much had to be said. We had to make some changes, and they, of course, told us what the strategy would be. We didn't stress out because, again, that's a difference between a veteran team that's been there and a team that's sort of an upstart, if you will. Let me ask you guys this now. As we move forward on Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net at 94.1 in Huntington, the greatest Super Bowl of all times, Dave. Now, we know Brady was the MVP last night. Many people say James White should have been the MVP because of the running that he did, but you got to understand that the commander on the field was Brady, who, by the way, guys, gave James White the truck that he won as the MVP award last night, which was kind of cool. But when you think back, what was the greatest Super Bowl of all time? Was this, obviously it ranks up there, Dave, but can you remember any other Super Bowls? Because we've never had an overtime before that was exciting as this one was.
I think you're hard-pressed to find one that compares to this. We're all going to love the games. Remember, that Steelers-Arizona game.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that was exciting.
For the Super Bowl. That was an outstanding game, and I looked at Julio Jones making the first catch that he made in along the left sideline, and it reminded me of Santonio Holmes in the end zone.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, I mean, from a Steelers fan standpoint, that was just an amazing game. But the bottom line is a lot of the games that have been played, a lot of the Super Bowls end up being really one-sided. And this one goes overtime. So now you're hard-pressed, and they overcome such a humongous deficit. How can you not say that this was the greatest Super Bowl of all time?
No doubt. And Jimmy, go ahead, Jimmy.
Now, my question is this for you and for Dave. With the overtime rule, whoever scores the first touchdown wins automatically, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think the NFL, whenever they have their owners meeting and they do all the voting and this and that, they're going to change that overtime rule?
Why would you change it?
Atlanta didn't even have a shot to get it in overtime because Patriots went down, scored, game over.
Well, here's my answer to that question.
They're going to change it?
No, I don't think so because here's my answer to the question, Dave and Jimmy. It is the fact that they're going to keep the same rules that they keep throughout the year. Okay? It's overtime. I think where they swap is if, let's say New England would have went for the field goal, the 3 points, then Atlanta would have had the opportunity to do that. Now, the question should be, and this is the question I was going to ask both of you guys, should they play a full quarter in the Super Bowl overtime? Seriously. I mean, you don't think so?
No.
Okay.
No, because first of all, Greg, you're never going to get that by the collective bargaining unit.
Right.
There is no way the players are going to go ahead and agree to that because I'll tell you what, at that point, and people are starting to understand a little bit about the physical demands that this game places on you.
Right.
I mean, if you have the goal in life as an athlete and you're a football player and you end up deciding you want to go to the NFL and that's your goal and you get there.
Right.
Guess what? earn your money quick because you're only good for 5 years because it takes too much out of you.
Oh, yeah.
So if you say we're going to play a full quarter in an overtime period, someone's going to get hurt. They're just going to be so tired at that point. Here's the other point about the way it is right now. Okay, this is professional football. It's not college football, and it shouldn't matter that the Patriots got the kickoff.
Right.
If your team is worth its salt, it should be able to hold them to a field goal or keep them out of the end zone completely.
I agree.
And the Falcons didn't do that, and they lost the game. Yeah. So I like it the way it is. Okay. I think it should stay the way it is. And, it's like mano a mano. Okay, your defense has to stop my offense if I'm the one that wins the coin toss and takes the football.
Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net tonight. Also experimenting on FM 94.1 in Huntington. Now, that's not a done deal, but we are from time to time on the air, according to our engineer, as we test it. And we hope to go live in March. We'll tell you more about that coming up on the airnetwork.net. Just go to our website. Tonight, Dave Shannon live in Altoona, Jimmy Ty in Hamburg, PA, near Philadelphia. As we talk about Super Bowl 51, it was just a crazy night, as most of you fans know that. I don't have to tell you. I'm sure you've discussed it ad nauseum today. But there are a couple of things that make me think, guys. The combination of coach and quarterback, Tom Brady. We've got Tom Brady and Belichick. You had Roger Staubach and, of course, the coach Landry. But the greatest was, I thought, in my mind, was Montana and Bill Walsh. And then George Seifert won that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so Montana's actually, I believe, won more Super Bowls than Brady has. But what's the best combination, Dave? Is he the greatest quarterback? And Belichick got to be one of the greatest coaches now. First Dave and then Jimmy.
I'm going to go with Belichick being one of the greatest coaches, and here's why. We were just talking about this and that little dink and dunk thing. Yeah. Okay, how many years back, and I can't remember the guy's name. I was talking with a friend of mine about this earlier today. He ended up, the Patriots got rid of him. He went to Denver, but he was the first guy that came out, and it was the little guy in the NFL as a receiver. Who started that? Bill Belichick started that.
Yeah.
And what he's got is a very successful formula, so much so to the point where he has two of them on the field now all the time.
Yeah, what is Edelman? 5'7", 5'8". Edelman's got to only be like 5'7", 5'8". He can't be much taller than that. And I imagine Amendola is a little bit taller.
That's an innovation. That is an innovation in football, because you always hear about player X is too small to play in the NFL.
Right.
I mean, the one guy that immediately comes to mind that took a beating over this and eventually was no longer in the NFL was Boston College's quarterback.
Oh, Doug Flutie. Flutie couldn't see over top of the lineman.
Yeah.
Yes, but he was effective.
And so, from that point forward, that's what you heard a lot of. You're too small to play in the NFL.
Right.
Well, these guys are small. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
But they were effective last night.
That they played the game with.
Oh, man.
And the way that they're utilized as a receiver, this is where that little 10, 15-yard dink and dunk stuff really works. And from that standpoint alone, I think Bill Belichick would at times do anything to win. I think he has cheated. I think they have taken video of other teams so that they could get wins and this, that, and the other thing. But there are things that he's done as well that have innovated the game of football. And for that reason alone, I have to sit here and say, you know what? I think he's the greatest coach of all time, too.
Yeah, I have to agree with Dave to some extent. Jimmy, let me ask you this. Edelman or David Tyree in the Super Bowl, who had the best catch? Last night, Edelman got that ball off of somebody's foot and about dropped it and then handled the ball. If you remember, Tyree helped the Giants win the Super Bowl by holding the ball on his helmet. Yeah, so who had the better catch? Was it Edelman or David Tyree?
I'm going to say Edelman right now because Tyree only had one player on him.
Yeah, yep.
And that was Ronnie Harrison.
Yeah.
Edelman had 3 players on him.
That's true.
Plus the tip ball.
Oh,
man. Plus him laying on top of a bunch of players. All Tyree had to do was just reach up over his head. Edelman was laying on the ground on top of players. Does that make sense?
Exactly.
So I'm going to say Edelman had the better catch. Plus, there was redemption for the Patriots.
Yeah. And it was weird, wasn't it, guys? When you look at that, it's sort of like it was almost second nature to him to grasp the ball before it hit the ground after it fell off that player's leg. I mean, it almost looked natural. Like he knew this is what I got to do. And that's how I get. There was no question of a challenge at that point, although we saw the challenge, but we saw the video and it never touched the ground. It was unreal.
Never.
Of course, Dave, you know what? The video we never saw. The video we never saw was the Immaculate Conception because it was never shot below Franco's knees. So we don't know, did it bounce off the ground or did he actually catch it or, pick it up and run with it? I mean, what happened? So, I mean, that's another question for another day.
One thing, I remember the officials that were a part of that Steelers-Raiders game, and they said if we'd have called that any other way, I think the official went in and he said something they did check a replay of some sort, and he said, I don't care what just happened. If I call that incomplete, I'm going to be killed.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's complete, and that's a touchdown. See you, bye.
Hey,
that was pretty much what happened there.
We have more stuff to talk about. Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Let me take a little quick break here real quick, guys, and then we'll get back to the Super Bowl. Then we'll talk about the Penguins. We got some high school sports, also some wrestling and some other things. Coming up next here on Monday Night Sports Talk, stick around. It's live on the airnetwork.net and also in Huntington on 94.1 FM. Call Austin Smith Heating and Plumbing for affordable heating, plumbing, and drain cleaning services in Huntington. Count on 12 years of insured excellent service when it comes to heating, plumbing, ventilation, and drain cleaning. Call Austin Smith Heating and Plumbing, available evenings and weekends at an affordable rate. Call 814-506-5128. That's 506-5128 for Austin Smith Heating and Plumbing in Huntington.
Brenneman's Meat Markets are celebrating nearly 70 years in providing Huntington County with quality USDA-approved processed pork, chicken, and beef products. Brenneman's has 2 locations in the county where the tradition of the finest meats are found in the region. Stop by Brenneman's Huntington weekdays from 8 to 6, Saturdays 8 to 3. Mount Union, open 9 to 5 weekdays and 9 to 2 on Saturdays. Choose specials of $10 to $50 meat packs containing your favorite meats. Or stop by and ask about our select custom cuts, prepared and packaged while you wait. Brenneman's Meat Markets in Huntington and Mount Union. Call our office at 814-643-2751 for specials and more information. Pennsylvania Highlands Community College provides you the option to earn an associate degree, diploma, or certificate at an affordable cost. The Penn Highlands Huntington Center, located on Margie Drive in Huntington, offers degree programs in business management, criminal justice, liberal arts and sciences, and psychology. Are you ready to take the next step on your career path? Contact Penn Highlands Huntington at 814-643-6200 or visit Penn Highlands Community College online at pennhighlands.edu.
The Huntington Moose Family Center 223 is the heart of the community. Becoming a member of the Huntington Moose enables you to join friends who have served the community for over 100 years. Join the women of the Moose for a ham pot pie dinner on Saturday, February 11th from 2 until 6 p.m. Then stick around for our St. Valentine's rock and roll dance with Backlash. Plus, check out our Friday food specials every Friday this month. The Huntington Moose Family Center 223, serving the community with the best value in town. It's Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. You can check us out at the airnetwork.net on our webpage or check us out on TuneIn Radio. You can actually hook us up with that free app on your phone. Or tonight, we are experimenting on 94.1 FM in Huntington, PA. Welcome aboard, everybody who might not have ever caught us before, but we've got Dave Shannon from Altoona, Jimmy Ty from Hamburg, PA, near Philadelphia, and Greg Banks in the studio. We do this technically, hey, I guess we would be considered technically adequate, Dave. I don't know. There are people that are sort of like not into the technology yet. I mean, they remember the wild, wild west or whatever the thing is, but they don't remember the, of course, internet because they don't want to deal with it. So they have the FM radios, and they can listen live there. So we kind of do things backwards, if you will. We start with the internet, which we've done for 6 years, and then we put FMs in. I think that's the best way to put it. But anyhow, we're talking about Super Bowl 51 tonight. Let me ask you this. We talked about the game ad nauseum. Everybody talked about it. It was thrilling. It was amazing. I wanted to see Goodell give the trophy actually to Tom Brady. He didn't. He gave it to Robert Kraft, the owner. Dave, were you surprised by the speech?
Then got off the stage.
Yeah,
then got off the stage like he was shot out of a cannon.
Yes, he did. Yeah. He got out of Dodge real quick. Now, Kraft had some interesting things to say, and there was a commercial that ran, actually, where Tom Brady says something like, Roger that. So we kind of knew that it wasn't going to be pleasant for Roger Goodell. We already knew that ahead of time, but was Kraft elegant in his speech, Dave, last night accepting that award? Because I think he alluded to the fact that, hey, dude, you screwed us, but look at us. We're here now. Thanks for the trophy.
Yeah.
No, I don't really have a problem with that. And when you make that big of try to have that big of an effect on a team, that's a serious thing. And you don't know now. To the credit back to Belichick and his coaching ability, it's like, hey, I don't care. I'll plug another quarterback into the system and it'll work.
Yeah, and it'll win him. Yeah.
So it was no big deal. But the intent was to really damage them at the beginning of the season, and it didn't pay off.
No.
And everybody came back, and it was all over and done with. And the only thing I can say about, Brady, I've been singing his praises here.
Yeah.
But for God's sake, you have something that may provide evidence, you don't destroy it. I don't care what you do with it.
Yeah.
And if there was something on there, I don't know. But,
you mean on his cell phones? You're talking about the cell phone.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he destroyed the phone. So it's like, that wasn't exactly the best decision that Tom could have made in that case. So, now it leaves it open for, okay, yeah, you did cheat, because why would you damage your phone or destroy your phone so that nobody could get to it?
Now, Goodell did shake his...
And I don't have a problem with what Kraft did. That's all well and good, because it's like, hey, you're a commissioner of a league, and that doesn't give you carte blanche to do anything to any team. And ask James Harrison how much he likes Roger Goodell.
Hey, there was a photo up, by the way, Jimmy, where Goodell did walk over to Tom Brady after the game, and he shook his hand for a rather long time. I mean, when you normally shake somebody's hand, it's sort of like, hey, how you doing? Congratulations, good to see you. You can be out of there in 5 seconds. Now, I don't know if Goodell held on to his hand for a longer period of time to say, hey, look at America, we made up. I love this guy. We're cool now. Although now next year, I'm sure the people from Boston are wanting to invite Goodell to their first game of the season. And I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Was that an awkward moment, being the commissioner of the league that basically sat you down for 4 games? And you think he got his comeuppance last night. And obviously Tom got redemption, right, Jimmy?
Karma.
Yeah, it's a...
Karma.
Hello.
Karma.
I got you, man.
What I mean? You all talk about karma. And that's what it was. Goodell knows, the Patriots are a good football team. Brady's the best quarterback in the league. Why don't I just screw them, suspend Brady for 4 games. Them 4 games are going to lose. They're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Guess what? They won 3-1.
Yeah. They say reciprocity is a B, and, of course, karma is a B as well.
But I would love to hear, how like the NFL Network and things like that.
I hope they mic
sound
them.
Effects.
Oh, I hope they mic them up, man.
There's microphones and all that are all around. I would love to watch NFL Network.
Yeah.
And just hear what Roger Goodell said to Brady and what Brady said to Goodell on one of them sound effects shows.
But I also like the sound effects shows when they put other verbiage in there. Somebody else, like they use the lip language, but they put the other words in there. Like whenever Goodell shook his hand, he'd say, I'm really sorry, Tom. I love you, and I don't want you to be my best friend again. You know what I'm saying? And use one of those voices. That would have been rather cool. But anyhow, it did happen. Brady, of course, is the MVP. Matty Rice, by the way, or Matt Ryan, was the MVP of the league. Obviously, on Fox TV last night, Dave, I don't know if you noticed this, and Jimmy, I think you were still in your car at the time, but the dudes from Fox Sports pretty much gave the MVP to Matt Ryan, and I never heard them come back and give a retraction at the end of the game.
No, they didn't. I think, I'll tell you what, out of all the people that I would not expect to be totally surprised by the outcome of the game would have been Troy Aikman.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Aikman understands the game probably and does such a great job on TV and analyzing a game that he forgot what Tom Brady can do. And so therefore he went ahead. He was dumbfounded, honest to goodness. At the end of the game, I think he was completely dumbfounded.
Yeah.
And it was like, now you have to spin. You have to do a pirouette and go 180 in the other direction. Yeah. And it was just such a dramatic and abrupt change in that game that it just, and Joe Buck, I don't know. Joe has his moments anymore. I mean, he's starting to get to the point where he, and he doesn't specifically take sides per se.
No.
But there's a way he delivers what he's presenting to you as the audience where you can tell there is a decided edge in one team's direction when Joe Buck is doing it.
Well, Joe Buck's going to go the route of Brent Musburger, who did his last game the other night on television in the NBA. Basically said, "Hasta la vista, baby. I'll be in Las Vegas. Come on out. We'll share a beer." I don't know if we'll ever see Brent again, but Joe's probably about 10 years away from making that same kind of statement, and that remains to be seen. Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Final score again. The Super Bowl champions were the New England Patriots. If you're just waking up or maybe getting back into the country after watching some of those ads last night, it seemed like a lot of immigrants were in those commercials. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But let me ask you this, and I don't want to get political because I want to tell you guys something you probably didn't know, but some of these ads were actually produced a year ago, one in particular for a beer company. But let me ask you this. Lady Gaga, we talked about this off the air, Dave, and then Jimmy. She put on a hell of a show. No politics involved at all. She has to rank up there as one of the top performances ever in the history of the Super Bowl. I mean, you got to give her the props, man.
I don't know how she does it, Greg. I mean, the woman's flying in the air, doing a backflip and continuing to sing. She did not lip sync any of her show at any time.
So you don't think any of that was tracked at all, though? I mean, you think that was all live?
None of that was tracked because there were a couple of times. One of the ones that was most noticeable, she has this guy carrying her across the stage.
Yes.
She's continuing to sing, and you can hear, because he's taken the steps, you can hear the little bit of a quiver in her voice because she's, this guy's carrying her. She didn't lip sync a damn thing. The woman is absolutely amazing, did an outstanding show, and anybody that can't accept what she did as an outstanding performance and get away from politics, you people have no appreciation for anything.
It didn't happen anyhow. She made no statement other than, I think, Dave, and I told Jimmy this at halftime, she wore that spacesuit, and wasn't that cool that it was in Houston, where it was the home of NASA? Sure. I mean, I never even put two and two together. Jimmy and I were talking.
On the phone to you.
Yeah,
I'm the one who told you that on the phone.
You did
after I dropped Lucy off.
You exactly.
But the funny thing was, I dropped my daughter off at her mom's house, and it was like halftime. I got up there at halftime.
Did you get home, go to watch the game, and see Lady Gaga?
I got home. But the funny story is, I get a text message from Becky.
Okay.
And she's like, "It's Gaga time."
Okay, so she's heavy into Gaga, obviously, huh?
And she's like, "It's Gaga time," and my reply back was, LOL, laugh out loud, like, okay, by the time Lady Gaga is over, I'll be able to catch the second half.
Well, Jimmy, you're hip to that.
To you, and you're telling me about spacesuits and flying.
Well, I didn't know it was a space.
What the heck am I missing?
All right, here, listen, let me get back to the sports thing, because Lady Gaga is cool. I mean, okay, she didn't wear a meat suit. She didn't do anything stupid. Dave, I told you I have the CD with her and Tony Bennett. I'll let you borrow that sometime. You got to hear this woman. She sings the classics like nobody that you've ever heard before. She has that Billie Holiday voice.
All you need to do is go on to YouTube
and see the whole performance.
And call up Lady Gaga, Sound of Music, and you listen to that woman sing that song.
Unreal.
And you tell me that she isn't maybe the most talented female singer in my lifetime.
No comparison. We thought at one time Madonna was it. And you know what? Madonna was it. She was like a bunch of, but you got to put an S at the beginning of it, and that's what she was. But anyhow, so Lady Gaga is hot. She's cool. I don't know if I'd probably go out and have a beer with her, Jimmy. Would you? I know you're heading out with Becky, and I hate to bring her name up, but you'd probably go out with Gaga too, wouldn't you, Jimmy? She's about your age.
No, I'll stick with Becky. I'll stick with Becky.
He says that because Becky's listening tonight. Okay, listen.
Becky.
Hey, in the past, who has put on the best Super Bowl shows, Dave? I remember watching a show one year with Bruno Mars. That guy put a hell of a show on. He's a performer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I watched Diana Ross. She did the show, and she got lifted out of there on the helicopter. Of course, we remember Michael Jackson, and we remember his sister. She blew everything up because, remember, they talked about her for years after, like, her little boobie came out on TV. Yeah. It's like, maybe that probably killed some kids. Yeah.
Came into society.
We never ever heard of that before. You had a wardrobe malfunction. Okay, so now Janet's having a baby, and so she's gotten on with her life. No harm, no foul. So, Jimmy, do you remember what your best performance would have been other than Lady Gaga at Super Bowl? U2? Okay.
U2.
I remember that.
It was the 9/11. It was
Bono.
Patriots for 9/11 and U2, and I remember they had like the names of everybody on 9/11 who died.
That's right. Yeah.
In the background on Flight 93 and the towers and all that.
Yeah.
You know, that was one of the best performances, I think.
That evoked a lot of emotions for sure. Dave, do you recall any of the Super Bowls? Now, you remember, you and I were kids. They had championships. They didn't start the Super Bowl until we were probably teenagers. But having said that, do you recall anything that sticks out in your mind as one of the best Super Bowl performances other than last night?
Jimmy brought up a good one. You brought up a couple of good ones, and I'll throw in the one because it's not that long ago. Steelers-Cardinals Super Bowl, and you had the Rolling Stones perform at that. And Mick Jagger.
He was strutting his stuff, I remember.
Yeah, for as old as he is and as old as he was at that point, it just adds how... If I could get up out of the couch and go get a cup of coffee when I'm that old,
I'm in my 60s now, and I don't know if I could move like he does. But then again, I was thinking the other day, and this is weird to say that I even thought this, is if I decided to settle down and have a child, that at this age, I'm 62, that child would be 18, and he'd graduate high school, or she, and I'd be like 80-something. I can't do that, man. Hey, that kid would be changing my diapers. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. We do it every week online, and, of course, now we're experimenting 94.1 in Huntington. And we'll wrap that segment up. Best Super Bowl commercials last night. I mentioned that Anheuser-Busch had a commercial one last night. Kind of controversial. Probably not as controversial as 84 Lumber. There was a theme about immigrants, and I must tell everybody who's listening, the Anheuser-Busch commercial was already produced over a year ago, way before the immigration thing became trending. Now, the 84 Lumber, and reading about it, they said, and you can go online and study it yourself, there was a reason they did that. And I believe Pepsi or Coke did a commercial too, where they showed, Coke always did, Dave, show people from around the world because they always have a Coke and a smile.
Hey, they gathered on a hillside outside of Atlanta and saying, I'd like to teach the world to sing.
Exactly.
So Coke is here's my thoughts on the Super Bowl commercials. For all these years, of the this was the best Super Bowl. One of, if not the best halftime shows, and the worst crop of commercials
they were bad.
Ever appeared in any sporting event, period. The purpose of you buying spending that much money on 30 seconds of advertising time or 60 or whatever you buy is to sell your product. It is not for you to make a statement about politics. Get it out of your head. You just blew millions of dollars and didn't accomplish a damn thing. They all suck.
Jimmy, what do you think Alfa Romeo paid last night? That's the first time I've ever seen their ads on television ever, because those cars are so damn expensive. They ran probably 4 spots last night to the tune of about $5 million. Plus, Dave, they were one of the key sponsors, which means they probably spent about $10 million last night. Did that compel you,
right
Jimmy?
Now, Greg, I'm looking at ESPN. They have college hoops on. Yeah. Alfa Romeo halftime report.
Okay, so that's what it is.
On ESPN.
So they just started a new marketing campaign. They started with the Super Bowl. Jimmy, does that compel you to buy an Alfa Romeo now?
It sounds like spaghetti sauce to me.
Well, I'm telling you, they're high-priced cars. They're fast. Do you need to go any faster than
it? But I will say the best, if you talk about this commercials, the best commercial I thought that I saw wasn't the immigrant commercial or the spaghetti sauce Alfa Romeo, whatever the heck that was, car. The best commercial was the Cam Newton commercial.
Oh, I love that with the little kids.
And then he's rockets, and he's like, that was to me. That was, I thought, in my opinion, that was the best commercial out there.
I'll give you
that. And here's the problem with that, Greg. Notice Jimmy didn't say who the sponsor was, because it starts to get lost.
Yeah, I can't really remember who it was.
It was Buick.
That's who it was.
Because this mother pulls up in a Buick, and they start saying, if that's a Buick, my kid's Cam Newton.
And then at the end, the woman says, if that's a Buick, I'm a model or something like that.
To do a model. Yeah, I think that was the best commercial out of it all, because it didn't show political. It was just a comedy one.
Yep.
It was funny.
All right. Hey, well, listen, guys, we're going to wrap this up. I got a couple other things I want to get to, but I want to blow some spots out here real quick. It's Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net with Jimmy Ty in Hamburg, Dave Shannon. He's in Altoona tonight. Greg Banks in the studio. Stick around. We'll be right back.
It's a brand new year, so starting it off right by shedding those pounds and living a healthy lifestyle. Call Dr. Michael Simone at Simone Family Chiropractic and Weight Loss at 613 Washington Street, downtown Huntington, for a proven safe way to shed those extra pounds. Dr. Simone utilizes the doctor-supervised Chiro Thin weight loss program that helps you lose significant weight without exercise, expensive prepackaged foods, or diet shakes. It's real food with real results. Try the Chiro Thin plan on your way to a healthier you by calling Dr. Simone for a free consultation. Call 643-2616 for a happier you.
Mel's Concrete in Huntington has over 20 years' experience in providing you with quality concrete work. When you have any job dealing with concrete, call Mel Woomer at 643-0909. Mel's Concrete specializing in porches, patios, basements, sidewalks, and more. Mel's Concrete also specializes in snow removal. There's no job too big or too small when it comes to concrete. Call Mel's Concrete, LLC at 643-0909. It's Monday Night Sports Talk on the airnetwork.net. You can check us out online at www.theairnetwork.net, or you can go on TuneIn with that free radio app on your phone. It's called TuneIn. Download it and just check for The Air Network. We do this every Monday night. Chat states we're missing you, dude. But Jim, we actually have Jimmy Ty from Hamburg, PA. I got to settle down. And we've got Dave Shannon from Altoona. These guys have been with us for a few years. Dave Shannon, by the way, the voice of the Huntington Bearcat basketball, and also the girls, by the way. And Dave, you have a game, I believe that's Wednesday, when they take on Central Scarlet Dragons coming up Monday night, or actually Wednesday night, live basketball here on the airnetwork.net. We're looking forward to it. You've had a lot of fun so far, right, doing some of those games?
Yeah. Well, and a big tip of the cap to the Lady Cats, because they're up against a team there on Friday night where they have a player that just came off a 34-point scoring night.
They shut her down.
And they held her to 18, and they won the game 62 to 33.
That was exciting.
What an outstanding game for the Lady Cats. And Maddie Gerhardt, man,
Hey,
Girl was just tearing it up. What a game.
Well, we re-air these shows, by the way, all the time. Tonight's air, Monday Night Sports Talk, re-airing at 10 p.m. Then go to our website, and you can download it and hear Jimmy Ty along with Dave Shannon. Let me ask you guys this. First to you, Jimmy. Baseball is considering higher strike zone this year, bringing it up 2 inches from the knees and, of course, somewhere around the chin. And they're also considering automatic intentional walks where you just signal that you want the guy, instead of throwing 4 pitches, what do you think of that rule, Jimmy, and then Dave? First of all, the strike zone and the intentional walks.
I think the strike zone, that's good. It's gonna take adjustment to, not even in spring training, but maybe the first 2 weeks or first month or so into the season, because the umps are so used to the regular strike zone since 1986 or 96.
I think they're only going to review it though. It's not going to be written into any kinds of law at this point.
And I think it's a good rule. And but the intentional walk, you throw them 4 pitches, and who knows how hard them pitchers throw them intentional walk pitches. Just signal. It saves the pitcher's arm
and it eliminates a lot of wasted time. Okay.
Yeah, and that's true. It also eliminates wasted time.
All right.
So I think it's a good role.
What do you think, Dave, on that intentional walk and also the strike zone being changed? They're reviewing it this year. They'll come up with some kind of decision next year, I guess.
I don't like either one of them. I don't like the strike zone changing. If anything, I can see them maybe getting the strike zone just a little bit higher. I get sick of pitchers that are throwing pitches at the belt,
right,
and not getting strike calls out of it because it's perceived as being too high.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wish they give a little bit more on the upper end of the strike zone. But the bottom half of the strike zone, I got no problem with.
Bring it up a little bit, yeah.
I bring the upper part of it up and let the umps call some of those at the belt kind of pitches.
Yeah.
Because, let's face reality. Where are the height of a lot of home run pitches? Right around the belt, normally.
Always.
So,
a couple of minutes before 8 o'clock here on the airnetwork.net is Monday Night Sports Talk. Dave Shannon, Altoona, and we got Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I wanted the thing about I appreciate Jimmy's opinion about the pitcher's arm,
right,
and not messing that up. But here's the thing: you got to get 4 pitches into that guy's glove, and I have seen pitchers that cannot complete. For whatever reason,
true.
They throw it over his head.
Just doing this little soft toss to your catcher, but they can't manage to do an intentional walk without a pass ball during an intentional walk.
So it economizes on time, though. If I give you a single intentional walk, come on, man, just get on the. You know what I'm saying? Let's not go through that. Yeah.
Excuse me, Facebooker. It's like life doesn't happen that way. A lot of things in life take time.
Yeah, it does take time. And baseball games seem to take time. We're trying to cut some time down. For these millennials, Dave, they don't have that much of an attention span. That's what it comes down to. Real quick, Dave, hockey, real quick, as we wrap things up. Penguins taking on, I believe, the Flames tomorrow night. They look good over the weekend. I don't know, man. You tell me, where are they heading with this thing, because they're looking good?
Well, right now, the Washington Capitals are on a real tear.
Yeah.
And it looks like they may repeat again as the President's Trophy champ. But what good did that do them last year? What matters is how you're playing the game come April.
Right.
Now, that being said, I was very impressed because I thought the Pens were starting to show a bit of a weak point, losing to bigger teams when they lost to Boston and then to St. Louis first and then to Boston. And they went to St. Louis on Saturday night, and they had no problem with the Blues. It was a back-to-back game. They had played Friday night in Pittsburgh.
Right, and then had to go.
Had a really good win against Columbus, and then came out against the St. Louis Blues and just absolutely dominated them. So and it all goes back to Sullivan. Sullivan is the coach, is the key. 3 games this week. As you mentioned, the Flames tomorrow night. Then on Thursday night, they make a trip out into the West as they take on Colorado on Thursday night and then Arizona on Saturday night.
Well, now the football season's over. Now I can concentrate on the Penguins exclusively. And then, Jimmy, I know you'll be following college basketball as they get into the postseason. So I think everybody will be happy. And by the way, Dave, spring training starting in 2 weeks for many of these teams. And I hope
7 days,
Yeah.
pitchers and catchers.
Oh, man.
And did you hear about the new Pirates outfield?
What's going on there? Hit us with it.
Well, you got McCutcheon in right.
All right.
You got Starling Marte in center. And in left field, Gregory Polanco.
Oh,
a
man.
complete new look to the Pirates outfield.
Well, listen, I'll be here next week, but I might fly on down to Sarasota and Bradenton and give. We'll do the show from down there. We could do that, Dave. You know, technically, we're not technically challenged.
I'll be your tour guide down there.
Hey, there you go, buddy. Bring a camera, Jimmy. We'll have lots of fun. Dave Shannon and Jimmy Ty. Thank you, guys. It's another night of Monday Night Sports Talk. We'll see you guys next week. All right.
Good night.
See you later.
Good night.